Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Megan McDonald. I'm one of the recruitment coordinators here at NSCC, and really happy that you can join me tonight for this Adult Learning Program webinar. Now, before we get started with all the information about the ALP program, let me just go over a couple of things about the webinar format. So on your end, for anyone who's watching at home, we've got your cameras off, you're muted, we can't see or hear you. But if you do have questions, feel free to pop them into the questions chat. So you on your end have a little question box, just like you can see on my screen right now. And this is where you can type in questions that you have about ALP. Now on the screen, we also have the recruitment@nscc.ca email address. So if there are any questions that say didn't get answered today, maybe you have questions in the future, feel free to send them to us at recruitment@nscc.ca, and I'll make sure that I show that email address again at the end of the session. Now, because tonight's session is exclusively about the Adult Learning Program, I won't be answering any questions that have to do with other programs or personal applications or immigration questions, for example. So if your questions are not about the Adult Learning Program, please send them to recruitment@nscc.ca and we'll be sure to help you. Or you can sign up for one of our Ask Us Anything webinars that we have online right now. Okay, let's get started. So for the Adult Learning Program, we have the program offered at nearly all of our campuses across the province. So regardless of where you are in Nova Scotia, there is going to be an option that's close to you. And we also offer online options. So no matter where you are, you could either be studying in person or online to get your adult high school diploma. All right, so what is the Adult Learning Program? I know we've got a few programs with kind of similar names here at the college, so just wanted to kind of let this definition sit with everyone, just so that you know which option is going to be best for you. So the Adult Learning Program, or ALP, as we often refer to it as, is for students who have not yet completed high school. So we're talking adult learners who left high school or potentially didn't begin high school and would now like to get their adult high school diploma. So this is totally equivalent to a typical high school diploma from any high school in Nova Scotia. It's just that the program is specifically designed for adult learners. Now, something that is really great about this option is that there is no tuition cost. So from a tuition perspective, the program is totally free. So that's one of the things that helps make it so accessible to students, all across the province. So what ALP does is it provides you with the opportunity to get the credits that you need to get that high school diploma. So if you're coming to us with some high school experience, maybe you did grade 9, 10, 11, even part of grade 12, we'll look at your transcripts and see what else you need in order to graduate. If you're someone who doesn't have any high school experience yet, then we won't look at high school transcripts in your case, but what we'll do is sit down with you and make a learning plan so you'll know exactly what courses you need to take and how long it's going to take in order for you to get that diploma. Now, if you have completed high school, you're a high school graduate, and you're interested instead in upgrading courses, maybe you need to get an English or a science or a math, maybe you're interested in taking a program at NSCC or at a university, and you need the prerequisites. The Adult Learning Program is not the one for you. Because you've graduated, you're not going to qualify. Instead, you're going to want to look at one of the other options that we have. So if you head to nscc.ca, you can see right here, I've got them listed. There's one called Adult Learning Program Academic Upgrading, which is also a $0 tuition program. It allows you, as a high school graduate, to take 2 courses that you need to upgrade. We also have a program called Academic and Career Connections, and there's a department called Continuing Education. Those 3 would be great to look at, and we're certainly happy to help you navigate those options if you want to email us in recruitment. So if you're someone who hasn't finished high school, you're interested in getting that diploma, stick with me because this means that all of this info is for you. So the Adult Learning Program, when we're looking at admission requirements, I mentioned, of course, that you need to have not yet graduated from high school. You also need to be 18 or older, and you need to live in Nova Scotia. So those are really the big factors here when we're looking at admission. You also, in addition to be a resident of Nova Scotia, you need to have specific immigration status. So either you're a Canadian citizen or you're a permanent resident, or you have refugee protected person status. As part of the admissions process, you do actually meet with an ALP counselor. So that's someone who is going to sit down with you after you submitted that application. They're going to chat with you about your interests, your goals, and they're going to help you navigate the program. And that meeting is one of the requirements for entry into the program. So we have it listed here as an admission requirement because it's an important flag to make. The ALP counselors are trained counseling staff. They're really fantastic and they are totally invested in your success. So they want to hear from you. They want to know what would help you be successful in the program. Maybe you have work commitments, caregiving commitments, different types of, say, accessibility challenges that you're navigating. Regardless of what those kind of things are that you're trying to manage and balance with your learning, ALP counselors want to hear about it and they want to help develop a plan for you that's going to work so that you can move through the program and reach your goals. Something else to note is that if you are someone whose first language isn't English, we do have a language test requirement here as well, which is the CLB level 6 or equivalent. Now, if you're someone, as I mentioned, who doesn't have English as a first language, but you are interested in getting that diploma as well as continuing to develop your English language skills, we have a stream of ALP, which would be great for you. It's Adult Learning Program, English as an Additional Language. And this is something that's offered exclusively in Halifax, and it's in person, it's for full-time study. So if you are someone who, for example, let me hop back a page here, English isn't your first language, but your language test results would meet or exceed that equivalent, then the general ALP stream is just right for you. But if your language test results wouldn't meet that threshold yet, if your test results would sit more around the CLB sort of level 4, then thinking about the English as an additional language stream is a good idea. So this is going to give you the option to take all of the typical courses that are offered in that general ALP program, but you're going to be learning in person in an environment with other English language learners. And the faculty who are teaching you also have lots of experience teaching learners who are developing English skills while also developing those core English, math, science, etc., those types of skills all together. So it can be a really great supportive environment for, getting that high school diploma. So if this is one that you're looking at when you're looking at our application, you can make sure that you're kind of digging a little bit deeper and selecting the English as an additional language option. And you will need to also provide your English language proficiency test results as part of the application process. Now, another stream that we have is Adult Learning Program Africentric Learning Option. This one is unique in that it is offered exclusively online through the eCampus, typically full-time, and synchronous online classes means that even though it's online, you're going to have set meeting times and classes that you show up to online. So you're going to get to know your classmates, you're going to get to know your faculty. The Africentric learning option is designed for learners who self-identify as Black, African Nova Scotian, or of African descent. So all of the students in the class will share that identity, and all of your teachers are also going to have that lived experience. So Black learners, Black faculty. And the curriculum in the program is also unique because you're getting the same type of courses that you would in the core ALP. So you're looking at math, your sciences, your Englishes, but you're also looking at some specialized courses that are taught through an Africentric lens. So you're learning about history, you're learning about current events, and you're looking at culture, ancestry, and traditions through that Africentric worldview. So if this is an option that is interesting for you, then this is something that you could select on the application. The way that the Africentric learning option works is when you're coming into your first year of ALP, you could choose the Africentric learning option as your mode of learning. So your eCampus, you're full-time, it's synchronous classes. And then if there's any additional years of ALP that you need to complete, then you would transition into the core general ALP program. Now, I want to just point out for everyone that, we were talking about, say, the Africentric learning option or also English as an additional language as full-time options. But know that ALP is flexible. And if you need a little bit of maybe a bit more of a part-time pace or a mix between full-time or part-time, depending on the semester, that's something that you could talk with your ALP counselor about. The name of the game in ALP is really about flexibility and student success. So don't be deterred if you're looking, say, at Africentric learning option and you know that full-time might not quite fit into your schedule right now. It could still be an option for you. You could chat with your ALP counselor about that to kind of see what the logistics would look like. Now, Africentric learning option, this has the same admission requirements as the other ALP option. The one exception is that on the application, you're going to need to click the box to self-identify as Black, African Nova Scotian, a person of African descent. And that would allow us to review you for ALP Africentric learning option. Now, just to give you a look at the kinds of classes that you would be taking in ALP, here is a list. So we've got those core courses that I know lots of students are thinking about when they are, remembering high school experience, thinking about what they might have to take with us. So courses like math, communications, which is an English course. We've got sciences, of course. And then there are courses like African Canadian Studies. We have Mi'kmaq Studies. We have strategies for academic success. We have an oceans course. Like, there's some really neat courses that are going to be able to draw in your interest as a learner so that you are, of course, able to take a look at all of those options, pick and choose what's going to be exciting for you, and build your schedule to work towards that high school diploma. If, of course, you've taken, let's say, some of these in the past, then great, you're going to feel maybe, kind of prepared to step into that role as a student again. But also note that, you're able to take courses that you haven't taken before in either your high school experience or, say, middle school experience. Our courses are really designed to kind of meet you where you are and pick you up from there. So whether you're coming in with a really great, say, lots of math skills, or maybe your math skills are not as strong as you'd like them to be, that's something that the faculty are really going to be happy to work with you on so that you can get to where you want to be and meet those goals. Just an example of a student who has come into NSCC and done, I think, some really fantastic stuff. This is Vanity Thompson. Vanity came to NSCC initially to do ALP, the Africentric learning option, and so she completed her high school diploma with us. Then she took those high school credits and she applied to NSCC's practical nursing program. This is a 2-year program. It requires some academic English, math, and sciences, all of which Vanity got with us. And that's something important to note. Like, ALP is a great option if you're looking at NSCC for college level courses, and if you're looking at university options too. This is a high school diploma that's going to give you academic credits to move forward into whatever it is that you'd like to do next. So in Vanity's case, she decided to do practical nursing with us, and she graduated right into the pandemic. And so her job coming out of school was working in Halifax in a hospital, and actually in the COVID ward. So she was really challenged right away when she was entering industry, working in a pandemic. And for Vanity, that experience really spurred her on. It made her really see that nursing was where her heart was and what she wanted to do. And what she's decided to do since is actually transfer her NSCC credits into a university nursing program. So she's going to be taking her practical nursing experience and moving into a registered nursing profession. So just know ALP can open tons of doors, and like Vanity, it's leading down a really exciting career path. And that all started with getting her high school diploma with us. All right, so let's look at some of the costs. So I mentioned that there's no tuition cost, which is great. So you're not paying for those courses. We get great funding from the province, which allows for all of this tuition coverage to be something you don't even have to worry about. Those fees are covered. Now, there are some exceptions. For example, we have student health and dental benefits that are something that students need to pay for if you're a full-time student. If you already, say, have coverage through a family member, you wouldn't have to do this, but it is something that's required. However, there's a bit of a way to kind of avoid this cost, though, which is kind of something fun to point out for you all, is that ALP students who successfully complete the first 3 months of the program, so you pay that fee, then the health and dental will actually be covered by NSCC. So that money is something that you don't have to kind of part with. NSCC is going to cover your health and dental costs. So in terms of the cost for the program, it's quite low. One other thing to consider is that if you're attending in-person courses and you're in Halifax or Dartmouth at one of those campuses, then you are required to purchase a Halifax Transit Pass, and it's $189 a year. And that would be something that is billed to you from NSCC. So that would let you take the bus, it would let you take the ferry, so makes it really easy to get to and from class. You'll also notice if you've been, say, poking around on the website, looking at the costs and fees section for ALP programs, it will also list a laptop. Now, computers, of course, are really important for all of the work that's done in the classroom or at home if you're studying online. But know that if you already have a laptop or computer that you can use, you don't need to get a new one. You could certainly use the one that you have as long as it meets the requirements. Or our campuses also have laptops that they can loan you. So if the cost of the laptop's a barrier, know that we are going to be able to support you in that, and you're going to be able to get all of the technology that you need covered and get some help with that. That's something that your ALP counselor could talk to you about when you're meeting with them. So in addition to services like laptop lending, for example, NSCC has lots of different resources for students. So that ALP counselor that you meet with, they are someone that you'll be able to lean on throughout your journey as an ALP student. You'd have that connection. There's also personal counseling, there's career counselors that you can tap into. There's different types of tutoring, so lots of different academic supports. We also have cultural specific supports for Black students, for Indigenous students, so you could potentially have your ALP counselor as well as your additional advisor that you go and talk with. And you can chat with advisors about anything. It could be academic concerns, it could be personal stuff, maybe you're looking for different connections to supports within the community. They are really great facilitators and connectors and can help hook you up with whatever it is that you need. We also have a great accessibility services team. So if you're a student who maybe in the past received some supports in school and they were really helpful to you in your success, or maybe you didn't receive any supports, but you know that if you did have a bit of those kind of, that help in place, it would help you be successful. That's something that we can do for you before you even set foot in the classroom. On the application, there's a section where you can tick a box to self-identify as a student with a disability. And I say disability, whether you have a diagnosed disability or not, tick that box, and that's going to alert our accessibility services team to reach out to you and just connect you with the supports that you'd like in place before you start classes with us. And there's also all kinds of different campus events, so you can really be a part of life at your own NSCC campus. So the application fee is very simple. We're asking for your name, your address, a bit about your education history, and then of course, which ALP option and campus you would prefer. There's no application fee, so it's totally free. And the most popular way to apply is online. If you go to nscc.ca/apply, you can finish that application yourself online. Or you're welcome to come into any NSCC campus. We have paper applications printed out. You can just head to our front desk, ask for an application, and the team would be happy to help you with that. Now, if you're someone who has attended high school, and that could be a little bit of grade 9, all the way up to nearly finishing grade 12, regardless of how much or how little high school you have, if you have that experience, you'll need to send us your transcripts. Now, this helps the ALP counselor determine how many more classes you need to take in order to graduate. So even if it's been 30, 40 years, sometimes we hear from students, they've been out of school a long time, get those transcripts because it can only help you, get the credits that you have already earned and finish that program faster. So contact your former school or school board and ask that they send transcripts to documents@nscc.ca. If they send those to us directly, that's great. If you have copies or if you want to go pick them up from your school, that works as well. Just make sure that they stay in the envelope sealed by your school. In order to be considered official, they're either going to need to be sent to us directly by your school or they need to stay sealed in the envelope. So after you submitted your application, wait a few weeks, and then you're going to be contacted by the admissions team to make an appointment with the ALP counselor. And that's going to be just a relaxed chat. They're going to chat with you about, what you'd like to get out of the program, what your goals are, and help you through with those next steps to becoming a student. Now, ALP has 5 intakes throughout the year. So our next upcoming intake is September 5th. you can apply now and get into that intake. It's not too late. But you know what, if you need a bit more time, all good, because we have another intake at the end of September, one in November, January, and February. So you can really apply at any time, and the admissions team will evaluate your documents, look at your application, talk to the ALP counselor, and get the ball rolling for you so that you can jump into the next available intake. So lots of options here. And with there not being a deadline at all, just know that it's pretty flexible. But if you are 17 right now and you're interested in doing ALP when you turn 18, you're going to need to wait until you're 18 in order to apply. So that's just an important flag for anyone who's planning to start but isn't quite 18 yet. I've got a list of common questions here, and I can see some questions coming in the chat, and I think this might answer some of them because this is something that we hear a lot. So I wanted to pop them in here just to give you a bit more information, which will kind of help you as you're exploring this option. So how much of the school year do ALP students take classes? Do they go all year? Is it a shortened school year? Like most of our programs, the academic year for ALP is going to start in September. So this year it's September 5th, and we go right through to the last Friday in May. And there aren't courses then in the summer months. So you have the summer off, and then if you're doing more than 1 year, you're back with us in September. The application review process right now is about 6 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks is a good estimate. Sometimes it's a little bit faster, just depending on the time of year. But when you are submitting that application, know that it's going to take a number of weeks for that application to be reviewed and for the ALP counselor to be put in touch with you. Now, this is a big one. Does 1 grade of high school equal 1 year of full-time ALP? And it's not. The ALP format is a little bit different. It's called an individual system of instruction. And so students are able to move quickly through the courses if they'd like, or they can take a slower pace. So the courses and the curriculum, they're designed to meet the outcomes for a high school diploma, but it doesn't mean that 1 year translates to 1 grade. So you might be a student who is an ALP for 2 years, maybe 1 year or less, or more than 2 years. It all depends on how many credits you're bringing with you from a past high school experience, and also how quickly you'd like to move through the material. I mentioned before that flexibility is big in this program, so know that the amount of time in ALP is different for everybody, and it can totally be tailored to you and your needs. Can you take a break from ALP once you begin? Absolutely. Flexibility is big, and the ALP counselors really understand that life and school need to work together, and sometimes things come up and you need to take a little bit of a break. That's absolutely fine. You are typically able to pick up right where you left off, and so that means that any work that you finished prior to you taking a break from the program will remain completed. They're going to take that into consideration when marking you and giving you your credits. And if you'd like, there's always an option to review some work or redo it if you just want to catch up a little bit, get up to speed before jumping back into ALP. So if there is anyone watching this right now who was an ALP student in the past and would like to come back, you should, and you may not need to submit a new application. What I'd recommend is you contact the recruitment team, or even just go right to the source, contact your campus, let them know that you were a former student and you'd like to see if you could jump back into the program, and they'd connect you with your ALP counselor to talk about it some more. All right, this is also important to highlight for everybody. Does ALP give you any advantage in the admissions process if you decide to apply to another NSCC program to take afterwards? Yes, it does. And this is great, especially if you're looking at one of our really popular programs that often fill up. What we'll do is that as long as you take ALP continuously, so you're not taking a break, when you're applying for your following NSCC program, like for example, Vanity, who we were chatting about a moment ago, she took practical nursing. We would look at that practical nursing application, but we'd give it the date that you applied initially to ALP, which could be 1 year, could be 2 years, even further, in the past. And what that does is that it means that because we look at applications in the order that they're received based on date, it usually pushes your application right up to the front of the line. So it really can give you an advantage over someone who's applied, say, after you. So that is a really nice perk of the ALP program. Now, I mentioned this a little bit already. You know, the website says that many options are full-time. Is it possible to study at a part-time pace? It is. ALP is really flexible, and this is something that you could talk about in your ALP counselor meeting, and the counselor could kind of let you know what things could look like for you and how they could build a program that's going to work. Now, class schedules, they are all a little different based on the courses that you're taking and the campus that you're studying at, but most courses are taught between 8:30 in the morning and 3:30 in the afternoon. Some campuses do have some evening options. And of course, if you're doing an online like e-campus option, there are no set classes. So you're able to attend and do that work whenever you'd like. If you were doing, for example, the Africentric learning option, which is online, it has set classes, so set times, typically during the regular week, Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 3:30. This is also something that your ALP counselor could talk to you a bit about. So you could look at what courses you need, when they're offered, and how that's going to work with your own schedule. Do ALP courses meet the admission requirements for university study or programs like practical nursing? They absolutely do. They're academic level courses. You don't need to have taken academic level courses in the past to do these. ALP is going to meet you where you are and pick you up from there, and you'll just run with all that learning. So even if you don't have experience in academic high school courses, that's all good. These are the level of credits that you're going to graduate with. So it leaves you open for university or for specific NSCC programs, for example, like practical nursing, med lab tech, the pharmacy technician program, for example, engineering programs that require specific academic courses. You'll be good to go. And I mentioned this earlier, but if you're 17, make sure that you wait until you're 18 to apply. Then we'll be able to look at your application. Now, is there funding available for ALP students? I know, of course, there's no tuition costs, but to cover living expenses. So NSCC has a number of awards that ALP students could apply for. And these you could apply for generally every spring and every fall. So after you've confirmed your program seat, for example, if you're going to join us this September, you'd be able to jump into the fall awards, which are going to be opening, in September, October this year. You could apply for those, and then you could apply again in the spring. So there's 2 opportunities every year to apply for awards. The awards certainly aren't guaranteed, but I really encourage everyone to take the time to apply for awards. It can be, really well worth your time. Now, the unfortunate thing is that ALP doesn't meet the requirement for a provincial student loan. So you're not able to get a loan through the government for this program. But there are a number of agencies that do fund students who are returning to school. So if you are, say, connected with the Department of Community Services, Employment Nova Scotia, these are organizations that you could talk with about exploring funding options. So if you're already connected, let them know you're interested in ALP, and they can chat about what kind of some funding options could look like for you. Now, I mentioned earlier that NSCC does loan laptops to students, so that's something that we can kind of get connected with you about, and your ALP counselor would be great to help you. And this is something we get a lot. If someone has no high school credits at all, can they take ALP? Yes, they can. It means that you would be in classes a little longer than someone who, say, does have grade 9, 10, or 11, but that's all good. You would be able to come in, take everything you need to be able to graduate, even with no high school experience. Now, we also get lots of questions about how long the program takes, because it certainly varies from student to student. And because the ALP program is a little bit different in terms of course structure than the, say, provincial high school system, the language is often a little bit different. So if you were coming in with absolutely no high school credits, generally speaking, you would take 2 years to finish the program. If you're coming in full-time and able to complete all of those courses within that kind of specified time frame. But it's totally fine to take a little bit longer if you'd like. We would have students sometimes who are with us for 3 years or 4 years or beyond. That's absolutely okay. Your ALP counselor can work with you to talk about, how long you'd like to study and what it would look like in order to complete your studies within that timeline. Now, I can see some questions coming in the chat. Let me just take a quick look and see if there's anything here that kind of pertains to, what we haven't already answered. Now, if you are kind of looking for some additional help, you're welcome to email us in recruitment. Our email address right up here on the screen is recruitment@nscc.ca. You're also invited to email my colleague, Chris Murdoch. Chris is the academic chair for the ALP program, and he has offered to, be a contact for anyone who's curious. He works out of the IT campus in Halifax, but is more than happy to field your questions or put you in touch with the ALP team at one of our other locations around the province. We also have a phone line which is set up specifically for folks who are interested in the Africentric learning option or the English as additional language concentrations of ALP. And so we've got that phone number on the screen as well. So feel free to take a photo, take a screenshot, take a picture with your phone, or just write down all this info right now. I'll leave it on the screen for a moment in case you'd like to reach out. All right, great. So I can see some great questions in here. Lots of questions, it looks like, from people who are interested in ALP and wondering if this is open only to Canadian residents. It is. That's the thing about ALP. You need to be a resident of Nova Scotia, and you need to have one of those specific either like immigration statuses. So you need to be a citizen or a permanent resident, or a refugee protected person. You need one of those statuses in order to qualify. Someone else is asking, are we able to take ALP from another province? You can't. You do need to be a resident of Nova Scotia in order to take it. Now, lots of other NSCC programs you can take from other provinces, but ALP specifically, it's really just designed for folks who are in Nova Scotia. All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate you tuning in today. I appreciate you chiming in with the questions. If you do have anything that you're curious about after we sign off today, please feel free to send myself in recruitment or Chris Murdoch an email. We'd be happy to help. I'm signing off now. I hope you all have a good evening and have a great night. Bye-bye.